Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, it's like a Patreon episode, except it costs us money. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. We've never really talked about our pre-show ritual on the show. So picture this. Patrick and I.
Dig, if you will, a picture.
Patrick and I are dressed in all black.
Right.
We're wearing turtlenecks.
Mm-hmm.
Before the show begins, we shake each other's hands.
Right.
We sit down.
Turn around.
Exactly. We
We walk
around.
10 paces in opposite directions.
Patrick's girlfriend takes off her scarf and drops it like the beginning of a drag race.
Right. And we can hear it dropping.
Because the apartment is deadly silent.
It's deadly silent. And then we rush over to the table
Mm-hmm.
and we sit down at it.
Yeah. That's pretty much long and short of it.
What were you going to say? What about our actual pre-show ritual did you want to call out?
I can't even remember at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, what is our pre-show ritual to you? Like, what do you...
I think we just talk for a little bit.
We chit-chat a little bit.
Mhm.
We get sort of conversationally warmed up.
Yeah.
So we're not surprising each other with I'm a grump today.
Right, yeah, exactly. Or we kind of exactly. We get a temperature for each other.
Right.
What kind of shows are going to be super silly?
Right. And just got to be what kinds of things can't I mention on tonight's show? And no, just going to set Mark off. Usually topics I cannot mention in front of Mark. Sonic Forces and your ability to borrow it. All you got to do is email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com
with a mailing address, and then I send you my copy of Sonic Forces for Nintendo Switch. You play it for as long as you want. You send it back to me, which I also take care of.
The word on everybody's lips is Sonic Forces.
That's right.
Also on everybody's lips, Donkey Kong 3.
Everyone's lips.
We're doing a high score tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You can play Donkey Kong 3 however you're able to.
Except no cheating.
Yes.
No rewinding. No save state scrubbing.
Mm-hmm.
Just get that high score as best and as honestly as you can. No Billy Mitchells allowed.
Send it to us either by email
at Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com or tweet at us.
Right, at NinCart Society. And then the other thing, send us your Super Mario Maker 2 levels.
Oh, sorry. One more thing I want to say about Donkey Kong 3.
You're right.
Get it to us by August 23rd because there are socks on the line.
August 23rd, as we get closer to the date, is next Friday. It's so soon.
It's so soon.
Back when we picked that date, we didn't know what day of the week it was.
It seemed like a million years away.
It also felt like that. We knew it was exactly 1 month because we set the date.
It was
yes.
in our minds, in our hearts.
Mm.
It felt like a million years away.
I understand. Also, by the 23rd, whoever has the high score is going to win some socks.
Yeah.
So look forward to that. The current high score is well over 200,000. So you guys got to put in the reps,
which we're sorry about because the game is not very good.
It's not very good. I realized that just earlier today that I should be playing it with the NES controllers that I have. I've been playing it just in handheld mode, or with the Pro controller, and I should really be playing it with the NES controller.
Because you want to get the full Donkey Kong 3 experience, or you think it'll improve your score?
I think it will just be more comfortable to hold.
Mm-hmm.
I think the real true Donkey Kong 3 experience, it was an arcade machine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then I need a joystick and a big red button that's covered in pizza grease.
Yeah, that would be the most authentic.
Send us your Super Mario Maker 2 levels. We want to play them. Just email them to us at NinCart. No, that's Twitter, at NinCart Society. Our email address is Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. We'll play them. We'll shout you out on the show. Maybe share them on our social media and whatnot. All right, Mark, are you ready to get into today's topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so today's topic comes to us directly from a listener, Dustin. Dustin was kind enough to send us an email last week, and it's a big email, right? Dustin poses a lot of questions.
And Dustin's also a longtime listener.
Longtime listener. Thank you, Dustin.
Yeah, has corresponded with us a bunch of times.
Love hearing from you. And he sent us this email with a bunch of questions in it. And I was like, okay, so I could either respond to we could either like break it up and like respond to these one at a time, or like I could write back to him. And then we're like, no. This is what Thursday is.
Exactly. Explicitly disregarding his wishes.
Right.
Where in the email he says, you don't have to read this on the show.
Well, he says you don't have to read the whole thing. We're going to read the whole thing. Hey, Patrick and Mark. Was listening on Tuesday and realized I hadn't written in a while. Still been loving every episode, and it remains something I look forward to as I roll out of bed on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sorry in advance for how long this email is. Don't worry about it, Dustin. Don't feel like you have to read it at all if you get bored, and definitely not expecting you to read this on the show. Too bad we're doing it. More than anything, I wanted to reach out since it had been a while and just wanted to continue to thank you guys for the great show. Thank you, Dustin. That's very sweet.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So some random thoughts / questions. We're going to read these questions and we're going to talk about our answers. And so buckle up. Let's do this. First question. Marvel Ultimate Alliance has been way more fun than I expected. People keep saying that it feels like a game from 10 years ago, but the good news for me is that that is right when I got married and started having kids, so I didn't play any of those games. So it feels nice and fresh to me. This feels like a game I can keep coming back to for a long time and try to beat all of the Infinity Rifts. The main story was fun, but I'm really liking how I feel like I can play through again, considering I really only played 4 to 6 characters when I was playing through the main story mode. I definitely feel like I will be getting more than my money's worth with how much content is out there. How much content there is, sorry. I am also intrigued by the DLC as long as it will be adding more story missions and not just dumping some more characters. I wish Smash Ultimate would tack on more World of Light content with the DLC rather than just releasing spirits. Seems like they could have built out new themed areas that allow you to earn new spirits and maybe a new boss each time too. Maybe that will be with the next round of DLC after they release all those fighters.
So starting at the end first.
Yes.
I completely agree that there should be more World of Light content.
Yes.
Even though I have not finished World of Light.
Yeah, likewise. I have not finished World of Light. But there is something just like to having that like extra. And the thing is, like, if you're already making the spirit matches, right, for the spirit board, like all you need to do is like get someone to like paint a map, right? Like they're not 3D environments even that you're running around. So it seems like it would be a relatively low like investment to actually develop more World of Light content.
Yeah, and it would have been really cool to have like a Persona area of the map and then like a Dragon Quest area of the map, and then
it's so cool.
Yeah. So it does feel like a little bit of a missed opportunity. As far as Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I'm not that far in. I haven't beaten the game, so I'm not as far as Dustin is, but yeah, I completely agree that it seems like there's a lot of replayability because the even the little bit that I've played, the team that you build really has like a huge effect on how just like the gameplay. It can be totally different depending on how you build your team, and there are so many options for how to build a team.
And it also seems like, you know, some of what's really enjoyable about Marvel Ultimate Alliance is just like the spectacle of having your characters together. And if that can change 100% by you using a different set of, 4 to 6 characters, like Dustin says, that's super exciting.
I'll be really curious to see what the DLC is. I know that later this month we're getting the first 2 like new characters for free.
Right. So,
Cyclops and the other one.
Yeah, I forget now who the other one is.
Colossus, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds right. And then there are the other packs are
right. So the packs are
mutants?
announced, but I feel like we don't really know what those are yet. It's Marvel Knights,
right? X-Men is one,
and then Fantastic Four.
And Fantastic Four. Which, right, that's right. Because I made that killer joke about I wonder what those 4 characters will be.
So I'm
Doctor Doom, Super Skrull.
I'm just super curious.
Namor the Submariner, and the Human Torch.
Very curious to know what that DLC will entail.
Yeah, I am hopeful because in the game, like the characters are introduced like as you're playing levels, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not just like you start a new section and there are like 4 new characters to pick from. So I don't know. I would assume that it is some sort of story content or like challenge room content or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, successfully. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to say about the idea of like it's a game from 10 years ago, and I wasn't playing games 10 years ago, so it feels new to me. I love that phenomenon. I was not playing games very much, or I was playing different kinds of games when I went away to college in like 2002, 2003. And so I missed many of the much of the GameCube era, and didn't play Wind Waker when it came out. So a couple years later, after I had graduated, it was a nice game for me to like go back to, and basically had after I finished Twilight Princess, have like another Zelda to like a whole other Zelda to play, one that is arguably better than the one that I just finished and had a wonderful time playing. So I love having those like periods where you're like, oh, I just wasn't playing games then. And then having the time to revisit those eras later.
Also, when I say that it's a game from 10 years ago, I definitely don't mean it in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very much like feels like a game out of time because they just don't make games like this anymore.
They did. They made this game.
Well, fair point. Very fair.
Okay, moving on to Dustin's second question. Speaking of Smash, I'm finding myself going back to Smash Brothers pretty much every time I play Switch. It's never for very long, but I keep doing a couple Spirit Board matches, playing through Classic Mode with a character or two, and resetting the spirits in the gym and treasure hunt things. I was not expecting it, but the spirits are really giving me something to do rather than just playing random people online. My favorite is still local multiplayer with friends, but this is the most single-player content I've ever seen in a Smash game. This game is so good. I agree with the sentiment about the Smash or the Spirit Board 100%. That like having something to do, like some meaningful single player content all the time, is sort of awesome. And like I know I played a lot of Smash 3DS single player, but now I can't really remember what I was doing or why I liked it so much.
Yeah, all I was doing when I was playing this the 3DS version was just Smash.
Yeah.
Like just like 4-player matches against 3 computers. I was really surprised also how much I liked Spirit Board when I first was playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It was a lot of just trying to get all the characters, doing classic mode, and then playing a couple of matches online.
Yeah.
Just like basically doing that stuff. I really didn't think Spirit Board was going to be for me. But once I got into Spirit Board, I totally loved it because it was basically just like an automated version of what I used to do with my sister on the old versions of Smash Brothers, like Melee, where we would just set random challenges and be like, okay, we're all going to be, like Pikachu, and we're going to turn on these items, and and instead of having to set those rules yourself, there's just all these little challenges that are always coming up, and you can kind of filter through the ones that sound interesting to you. And so I really like it as well.
There's also something really appealing about like you have a certain number of them and they're like available for a certain amount of time, and so like if there's one that's giving you some trouble and like you die and like having to keep attempting it, after like 10 minutes it's just gonna be gone, and then like it'll come back up later, but like you can never get like stuck on something for ever, like you could in World of Light, or back in the day when I would like grind out Street Fighter like arcade modes and just be like, I'm stuck on M. Bison and I'm just gonna keep trying again until 2 hours have passed and I still haven't beaten him. I like having this like artificial just time limit on it where it's like, no, now we take it away and you have to fight something else.
I also think that for me, it was a really fun introduction to some of the music in the game that I hadn't heard before, maybe because I wasn't playing the right levels or the right characters in classic mode or whatever. There's like a song from Style Savvy that I now like have on my phone because it's so good, but I don't know that I would have ever heard it. It was just something that like, or introduced me to characters like Harmonite that I just wasn't familiar with. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And the music that they're associating with this level is really cool. And so I would like look it up and be like, oh my gosh, Game Freak made this game called Harmonite that I'd never heard of before. It's, we've talked about before, Smash Brothers Ultimate especially is such a love letter to video games and also like a video game museum
Mm-hmm.
that for somebody who loves games, but as listeners of the podcast absolutely know, my breadth of knowledge is not exhaustive. And so it's really fun to have this like cool introduction to these little snippets of other games that I haven't experienced.
Yeah, and that's like such a great point because Smash is such a repository for all of this like video game knowledge and information and characters and music and all this stuff. But there, without the Spirit Board and without World of Light, there's not really a guided tour through that.
No,
right?
and you like, because you pick the characters that you want to play.
Totally.
And you pick the levels that you like or are familiar with. And,
Right.
you know, that comes with the music that you like and are familiar with.
Yeah, and even if like you're like, I'm not going to mess with the music settings, each of those levels has like normal like alternate musics that play 3% of the time that you're on that stage, and like if you're randomly selecting between 100 stages. And you get each of those 1% of the time, and then only 5% of the time that you're doing that, it's going to play this alternate track. Like there's music that you will never hear basically unless you are being guided through it, and I think that's one of the things that the Spirit Board does super well.
Also, just put Smash Brothers Radio in the Nintendo Switch
Oh my god.
phone app.
Yes.
Just do
Just
it.
do it. Just put Smash Radio in the phone app. Also, give me a Splatoon radio. Like, this is not hard. You have access to all of these amazing music tracks. A Mario Maker. First of all, Mario Maker needs to be on the Nintendo phone app.
Crazy it's not.
It's crazy it's not. But also, give me a Mario Maker radio.
I will pay more money for this.
I will pay money for it. We currently pay no money for it.
Yes.
Okay, Dustin's next question. Pokemon Let's Go initially did not hook me. Once I started playing handheld, though, and didn't have to use the motion controls, even with the Pokeball Plus, it was way better. Plus, it was way easier to aim the Pokeball to catch the Pokemon without motion controls. Also, once I realized I didn't have to save Pokeballs because you get them all over the place, I could just catch a bunch of the same type and then release them for rewards and gain experience. It opened the game up for me. I wish someone had explained that stuff to me before I started playing. If they ever make a gold and silver Let's Go version, I think I would have a lot more fun with it right away. Do you think they will? Maybe in a year that they don't release a new mainline game, something like Pokemon Let's Go Gold and Silver in 2020, and whatever comes after Sword and Shield in 2021, etc. So let's do the first thing first.
Yes, handheld mode is, I completely agree, the way to play Pokemon Let's Go for me. Like,
Yeah.
I think if I was playing with a child or somebody who was just casually playing it to have fun, who wasn't really familiar with video games, I think like the motion control stuff makes a lot of sense. But yes, when you're trying to catch Pokemon and they start like bouncing around the screen and you're trying to like do it precisely with the Joy-Con tosses,
Right, which
It got
isn't
really
like
old.
perfectly going to read what you're doing anyway.
and you still do have to kind of use motion controls, but it's like to aim when it's in handheld mode, but it's gyro based.
Oh, okay, yeah,
right.
sure.
So like you're like picking it up and moving it to aim it, but it requires a lot less precision.
Yeah.
I really liked Pokemon Let's Go.
Mhm.
I thought it was really fun. It felt much more casual than the mainline Pokemon games have, and I don't mean that in the sense where it was like easier, although I guess maybe it was.
You just meant permadeath was off.
I guess it was just like I felt no pressure.
Sure.
Right? I kind of knew where I was going because I was familiar with yellow, and so it was just real easy to just kind of like make your way through. You can't really lose.
Yeah.
You know? It does a really good job of just being pleasant. It's a pleasant world to be in that
Yeah.
feels very like comforting and familiar.
Yeah, and I think the point about like the priorities of the game, that it really is like a Pokemon catch fest, that like you are just supposed to be throwing Pokeballs all the time and always trying to catch stuff, which is, despite Pokemon's like tagline of "gotta catch them all," like no, there are about 1 billion other things the game wants you to do in addition
Also,
to
it's
catch
a pain
Pokemon.
to catch Pokemon in the
Yeah.
actual games.
Yeah, because oh my gosh, whittling them down to just a sliver of health and then throwing a Pokeball and then they get out of it.
And having to be completely random. Like,
Yeah.
I loved the catch mechanic in Pokemon Let's Go. I liked it so much more than having to battle them down to a little sliver of health
Totally.
and just having to go out into the grass and wander around until the Pokemon you wanted catch appears. I thought that part was so nice.
Yeah. So let's address the second question about a like gold and silver Let's Go. Do you think that is a possibility?
I think Pokemon Let's Go was a success.
Yeah.
It has sold over 10 million copies between the two. I really liked it. I would be interested in more Let's Go. I wonder if they will just continue to just continue to do more remakes in that vein, or if Yellow was just kind of them getting comfortable and establishing kind of what this game could be, or this franchise could be, and then if they'll move away from just like rehashing the the series as it went on.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder also like after Sword and Shield comes out, what. Because, I mean, I do feel like the Pokemon fan base is in a super toxic place right now where all they're doing is screaming about, like, the game not looking as good as they think it should or it not having all the Pokemon in it. So I wonder if, once this game is out, I wonder what the messaging about the future of Pokemon is from there. Because, I don't know, it's so interesting that, from a couple years back, I guess E3 2 years ago, we're like, okay, Pokemon Let's Go is coming out, and then we're also going to get a new Pokemon mainline Pokemon game for Switch, and so like we knew what the future of the series was going to be, and I think about that, and I think about the that Fire Emblem Direct from a long time ago, where it was like, okay, Fire Emblem Warriors is coming out, Fire Emblem Heroes is coming out, and did they also announce the Echoes Shadows of Valentia at the same time?
I think so.
And saying that Fire Emblem Switch, and all of those games have now come to pass. So like, I wonder, we're in a place right now where we don't know what the future of the Fire Emblem series is going to be, and we also don't really know. I mean, we know Sword and Shield is still coming out, but the future beyond that is kind of a mystery for the first time in a couple of years.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I feel like Pokemon has never. Well, I see your point about them saying, "Hey, this like mainline Switch game is coming."
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that I don't feel like they're going to react that strongly to what, because that roadmap has already been set, right?
Sure.
Whatever Pokemon game is coming next year,
they're already working on it.
They're already working on it. So I think any sort of like adjustment that you see is a little further down the road. I am curious to see if next year is a Let's Go year, if it's a like Sword Shield Deluxe like third version or like sequel, or what they're going to do.
I mean, and they could just do a more like straightforward remake of any of the other games too. I mean, that they could just do like anything. It could literally be anything, including a more like holistically new Let's Go game. Like, it could be a Pokemon Let's Go that is not a remake of something. It could just be like, okay, here's another Pokemon Let's Go with 150 different Pokemon from all over, or it could even have new Pokemon in it. Like, it would not surprise me to see anything. They could do anything coming off of Sword and Shield, and I wouldn't really be surprised. All right, next question. Do either of you play the Zelda clone indie games? I played through Blossom Tales recently. I was getting the itch for a new 2D Zelda, but I had recently played Link's Awakening on the 3DS Virtual Console, so I'm not sure I want to spend $60 for the remastered version. So I ended up with Blossom Tales for $10 on sale. I have a feeling that I'll eventually buy the remastered Link's Awakening, but I really don't have a desire to play through the game again, considering I just beat it within the past year. So the first part of that question, do either of you play Zelda clone indie games?
I really haven't, but you picked up Blossom's Tale.
I picked up Blossom Tales, and I liked it. And there was another one that I either got or was thinking about getting, and now I don't remember which I did, which isn't a great sign. But yeah, I think yes, more Zelda clones. Like, I'm fine with it. I think it's especially if they're in that Link's Awakening, Link to the Past sort of overhead view. Like, it's just such a recipe for like hitting me right in the nostalgia sweet spot that like I'm there for it.
Yeah, do you feel like there's not as many of those as I would kind of expect there to be because Link's Awakening is so foundational? Like, there are so many Metroid-esque games,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And but there aren't as many Link to the Past-esque games,
Yeah,
seemingly.
I mean, I wonder if those kinds of games are just like harder to get right. I think Blossom Tales does it. Although like it's not, it doesn't play as like smoothly as Link to the Past or even Link's Awakening. But it has. It does so many like other like unique things all of its own. So I wonder if people are just like, if like the format of the 16-bit Zelda game is so overpowering that people are like, well, I can either do that exactly, or if I have something else to say, I'll do it in a different way. And like Metroidvania is sort of the like base way to do that, as far as I'm concerned. What do you make of all this talk about the new Link's Awakening being a remaster?
I mean, it's not a remaster necessarily, but
Yeah.
it is so incredibly faithful down to the tile of the original Link's Awakening, of everything that we've seen.
Mhm.
So I totally get that if you played it super recently, that I don't know necessarily what the new Link's Awakening has for you other than an adorable art style.
Just an incredibly cute art style, and the music all sounds great. I do wonder, like, I can't remember the last time I played Link's Awakening, how long it took me to play through it, but it's not super long, right?
No, it's a Game Boy game. It's not very
Yeah.
long at all.
So I wonder if that is going to be. I wonder if there is something about this game that we don't know yet, or if it is like actually just going to be the 8 dungeons from the original plus the color dungeon, and then also the like mix them up, build your own dungeon thing.
So I think the build your own dungeon thing is their attempt at giving it longevity.
But that's, I mean, unless it is more interesting than like what we are allowing ourselves to believe.
I
right
would not
now.
count on that.
Yeah, I'm not counting on it either. I think that there is something else about this game that we don't know yet. And whether it is no, I really have no idea, but I would suspect that there's going to be more to this game than just a like glossier presentation of a game from 25 years ago.
So I'm not so confident, partly because, as we've talked about in the past, at E3, Nintendo really treated Link's Awakening as a minor release, where it was just
That's true.
Initially on that first day, it was just in with the other games.
Yeah,
right. There was a huge
insanity.
thing for Pokemon.
Right.
There's a huge thing for Luigi's Mansion 3, and then there was awesome diorama set up, and there was Link's Awakening definitely had the most demo stations, but it was literally just with the more games.
Right. Like, do you want to play Mario and Sonic at the Olympics? Do you want to play Wolfenstein Youngblood? Do you want to play Link's Awakening? They're all the same line.
And like E3 was definitely Link's Awakening was the hot ticket. The line was so long, but that was also the audience that would love a Link's Awakening
Totally.
remake. So I do wonder if they have they're not really expecting it to be a huge like release for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean this will be coming out soon, right? September?
Yeah, like a month.
Wow. So we'll know very soon. And even though did you just play through this game or did I just play through this game? I don't remember.
I played through it not that long ago, and I think we did an episode where I had just played through Link's Awakening and you had played through Link Between Worlds.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that like maybe a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that I had played Link's Awakening not that long before that, and I'm already hungry to get back into it. It's a game I like, so I could see where if you had just played it within the last couple months, that maybe you wouldn't be ready just yet. But it just looks so good.
I'm very excited.
Next question, digital versus physical games. I have always been the type to buy physical games. It is probably just out of habit and feeling the need to get something for my money. Recently, though, I have started to wish that on certain games I would have gone digital instead. For example, I really enjoyed Starlink, especially once I realized I could use the Pro Controller instead of the grip with the R-Wing attached. That sounded fun in theory, but in practice it was really cumbersome and really uncomfortable. Also, I hated having to rescan all of my weapons each week in order harder to play with the Pro Controller. I really wish I would have gone digital on this game. I think I would have played it a lot more than I have so far. Smash Brothers is another game that I wish I would have gotten digitally. Having to swap out the cartridges to play it for 15 to 30 minutes can be mildly annoying. Basically, I'm just realizing that there are several games that I like to play in small doses, but I don't like having to swap out my cartridge so often, so I just end up playing one or maybe the 2 games in a given play session. If I didn't want to sell my physical cartridge and then buy back games digitally, what would happen to my save file? Would it keep it? So the question there was, if I did want to sell my physical cartridge and then buy the games digitally, what would happen to my save file? Would it keep it? Starting over is a complete no-go, but if I could switch to digital for the difference in what I could trade in for the price digitally, it might be worth it. So all of your save data lives on the Switch.
Yeah.
So as long as you have the same hardware, you can use a different game card. You could use the digital version. Your save data stays with it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is a feasible solution to you to sell back your copy of Smash for, I don't know, $15 and then buy Smash again, good on you.
Yeah, I've gone all digitally on my Switch.
Yeah.
And I mostly did it on my PS4 as well, and pretty much on my 3DS. I really, for the same reason that Dustin pointed out, I really like being able to switch between games quickly.
Yes.
My game library is also not so big that it won't fit on I don't know what I have, maybe like 128 gigabyte memory card.
Yeah, I think that's where I am too. Maybe mine's twice that size,
like 256
or
something.
Maybe.
I also I clean out, basically if I haven't played a game for a long time or it's not a perennial like Breath of the Wild, I just will like remove it.
Yeah. So I'm like half and half on my Switch. There was like right at the beginning, I was very interested in going physical on it because I think I was buying through like Amazon or like the Best Buy Gamers Club when both those were offering 20% discounts on games, which was just too big of a discount for me to like ignore at that time. And now that is not something I can take advantage of, I'm just going all digital. Because, yeah, the convenience of that is so nice, especially on a game like Smash. I really wish I had done this for Mario Kart, because Mario Kart is a game that I love playing for 10 minutes and then, flipping over to whatever else I'm actually playing. And, I remember very specifically on Wii U that I was going to buy Mario Kart digitally because I never wanted to have to get up to play Mario Kart. I just wanted it to always be an option to just pick up the gamepad and start playing. But I made the mistake on Switch, so now basically the cartridge just lives in there all the time.
Definitely some downsides to going all digital, though. I've definitely paid way more for games than I would have if I had bought it physically. You can't lend them to friends.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
You can't trade it in to get some of like the money back. So there's definitely pros and cons to each. I don't know that there's like the perfect solution, but I have found that I have been fine going all digital on Switch.
And also to specifically call out Starlink, yeah, I really enjoy the R-Wing toy. But man, if I could have bought that with a digital download code for Starlink, playing it digitally, you also just get access to all of the ships and pilots and weapons without having to buy them physically, which I have a love-hate relationship with my amiibos. There's no hate. I'm going to dial that back. I have a love-inconvenience relationship with my amiibos. So just like the idea of having more stuff in the house is like, all right. I just throw it in a box with the rest of the, like the assembled Labo kits, right? But yeah, it's if I could have played that game just all digitally, and just played with a little R-Wing that also came with it, that would have been ideal. Next up, third-party controllers. I am super tempted by the 8BitDo SN30 Pro Plus controller. Having the D-pad in the top left position along with the comfort of the Pro controller sounds appealing for certain games. Have you had good experiences with these types of controllers? I got a wireless GameCube controller when Smash came out. I'm honestly not sure why everyone loves that controller so much for this game. I prefer the Pro controller by a mile, and I have been happy with it. We're happy with how it works overall. Trying to decide if it would be worth the $50 for the SN30 Pro Plus. Thoughts? So I have a not the SN Pro 30, but a different, and now I can't remember the like names and numbers on it. And I experienced some pretty significant input lag with the controller. And I know it has had firmware updates since then. But man, I tell you what, there is a like level of gaming and engaging with like hardware that I just like hit sort of a brick wall where it's like, okay, now to update the firmware, go to your computer, download this thing and connect the controller, hold down these 3 buttons. When the light flashes this many times, like hit the thing on the thing and then do this other thing and then try to sync it with your Switch, and like then one of those things doesn't work and you're like, well, what now? Like, I'm not a computer scientist. And so like the thing was experiencing lag, and then I couldn't get it to sync back up with my Switch after I updated the firmware, and now I'm like, well, I just don't use it anymore. I just don't. So I do feel like there's a little aspect of like the buyer beware, or the like you're going into uncharted territory, so good luck. I don't know. What do you think about third-party controllers?
I mean, I'm a maniac who has been very happy just using the Joy-Con grip.
Yeah, you are a maniac.
The entire time.
Where's your Pro controller, Mark?
I don't want, like, I feel silly now because when I play with a Pro controller, or when I play with like a PS4 controller or something, I'm like, this is huge. This is enormous. But no, I got so comfortable playing Breath of the Wild using the Joy-Con grip. And yeah, I've just played every Switch game using it that I'm completely comfortable with it as my main controller. So I can't even begin to fathom what it would be like using one of these third-party controllers.
Yeah, I mean, I am a strong believer in if a third-party controller is doing something that you find yourself like missing or wanting, then go for it, right? Like I've got a Real Arcade Pro.
These are all terribly named.
No, yes. All these things are terribly named. I'm trying to think of the name of the fight stick that I have.
Yeah,
it's like whatever. It is a fight stick that I have for my PlayStation 4, so I can play Street Fighter games with a more like arcade-like experience. And if PlayStation had a like DualShock controller that was one of those, then I would probably go first party, but like I will go to third parties because they're offering me something that I can't get with like the built-in package. So if that's what the SN30 Pro Plus controller
Terrible.
does for it, so bad, then go for it. And $50 is cheaper than a Pro controller.
Or a set of Joy-Con.
Yeah.
People like me, my Joy-Con grip friends, they all know the one big downside to the Joy-Con grip.
Yes.
Or Joy-Cons in general, as when you're playing as your main controller, is the buttons on a Pro controller are so like nice and rounded and big.
Yes.
The Joy-Con buttons are very small, and so when I'm like doing stressful platforming and I'm really like jamming my thumb on those A, B, X, Y buttons, like I get like a little indentation. Like my hand hurts after a while.
So you need big, comfy buttons.
But I don't. That's the thing. It's the trade-off I'm willing to make.
So I don't know that we really have solid advice there, other than like, I don't know. I mean, if go for it, right? Like it seems like if you have any more patience than I do to actually get your controller to work, go for it.
Yeah, also, I feel like our advice is like, go for it or don't. Whatever. Like I think you'll be fine either way.
Yeah, and also you'll live. So calm down.
Yeah.
No, but I think, yeah, those are our experiences either with third-party controllers or not with third-party controllers. And take or leave anything we say. Next question, gaming backlogs. Do you generally beat games that you buy, or do you just enjoy them for a time and then move on? I have several games that I've started and not yet finished. It makes me feel like maybe I shouldn't keep buying the new games that come out until I finish those, but I like to be playing what everyone is talking about. This is a tough one.
Yeah, this is definitely true of this, of this show. We try to be playing games that came out recently so we can talk about them when they are relevant. But no, so I don't like to spend money on things that I'm not going to use.
Sure.
That being said, I don't feel like I have to beat a game every time to get my money's worth.
Yeah, like we were talking about this off mic yesterday about like accepting the fact that you are maybe playing a game that is different from the way that like it is like perceived to be like the right way to play it, that like you're getting
I think this was on mic.
Was it on mic?
Yeah.
Rats. Then let's stop talking about it.
No, I mean, well, whatever.
But it's the same idea, right? Of like, are you actually playing the game or like playing it the way it's supposed to be played if you don't beat it? I mean, I guess technically not, but like if you're having fun with something and you're getting some enjoyment out of it, like maybe you've done all you need to do.
Yeah, like a really good example of this for me is like SteamWorld Dig 2, which I think it was $20 or $25 or something. Bought it when it first came out, played a lot of it, and then I just like didn't really feel compelled to go any further.
Yeah.
And so I just never have. Same with like Golf Story. Really liked what I played of it, never beat it, but I feel like I had a very like complete and satisfying experience, and I would totally recommend either of those games to anybody who is interested in them.
Yeah. I feel like I end up buying games that I am excited about, and then not either I get distracted by something else that comes out, or just like I lose interest. And so I am actively trying to break myself of that habit. Part of the reason why I didn't pick up Marvel Ultimate Alliance is that I knew that Fire Emblem was going to be coming out the next week, and that was going to be something that was going to consume me. Will I go back and like loop back around and pick up Ultimate Alliance? Probably. But like, yeah, I'm making a point now to really prioritize games that I know I'm going to want to play or like put more time into. Like looking back on something like Starlink. Which is a game that I had fun with for the weekend that I played it, but that was really it. Like I played it for a weekend, and definitely didn't get my money's worth, whatever that means, out of it. So yeah, I think I'm like drifting more towards wanting to beat or get like a complete experience out of the games that I have.
Yeah, I guess like just like the more that I don't have time to play games, and the older I get and the more that I'm just like, yeah, games should be fun, that I really am just kind of like never wanting to force myself to try to beat a game, because you're not a better gamer or like love video games more because you have gone to the end of the story mode of something. Like if you're having fun with it, then or you had fun with it for 15 hours, then you're like, I'm done with it, or that's fine. Like that's an indictment more of the game than it is of you.
Totally.
And
and also, like, doesn't it feel a little bit like a lot of games and types of games are sort of moving away from the like finite experience, or like this is where the experience of this game ends anyway?
Yeah, games are terrified of you not playing them anymore because they can't monetize you if you aren't playing.
Exactly. But it's also true of games that like aren't like have no further incentive to monetize me. I mean, I guess like Smash can try and sell me more like slime hats,
like
or whatever.
Super Mario Odyssey or something.
But and Super Mario Odyssey, I put a ton of extra time into Luigi's Balloon World because I thought it was super fun, and I never put an extra dime into that game. Fire Emblem Three Houses, I am absolutely going to play through again as another house, 100%.
Will you get the expansion?
Maybe.
We don't even know what it is yet.
We have no idea what it is yet. So like all of like Super Mario Maker 2 is another game that like beat the story mode. I like the story mode. My castle is complete. That little diorama on the side is, I'm still short a couple tiles, but like, what am I just gonna go back into levels and collect coins? I'm not gonna do that. So like, I'll just go through and play like the like course world, like unending levels, and just like play that for an hour. And it's like that'll never end. There is no end there. And so I just wanna, I want to keep playing the games I want to keep playing, I guess. Last question. 3DS. I love the system, but I cannot seem to make.
Sorry.
Yes.
One thing I
Yes.
wanted to say about backlogs is I think some of the reason people feel so much pressure about them, I know I have felt this as well, is because games are expensive.
Yes.
So if you're like spending money on something and then you never get around to playing it, or you only play it for like an hour or two, then you do feel this sense of guilt of like, oh, this was kind of like wasted money. So I totally understand that, and I've definitely have felt that way about things that I bought and never really ended up playing.
Yeah, and I guess this is one of the big benefits of buying games physically, because then you can trade in a game that you were like, oh, I lost interest in this right away.
Yeah.
And then instead of it being a $60 loss, it's like a $30 loss.
You're playing it towards something else that you may or may not play in the future.
That's right. Look, we're all gonna die someday, so
too true.
That's right. Final question. 3DS. I love this system, but I cannot seem to make myself play it when I have the Switch sitting right next to me. I have several 3DS games that I really like and would love to play more, but I just have a hard time playing on the smaller screen, and I wish there was a way to play the 3DS games on my TV. It is awesome when I travel, but I don't do that all that often. I keep wanting to play more Samus Returns on the 3DS, but I wish I had it on a full-size controller. Some of the combat is more intense than other 2D Metroid games, and I'm having a really hard time getting the controls down on the 3DS. Yeah, this is just one of those that it can be kind of tough sitting around the house to play games on the 3DS when you've got Switch games, especially if you've got a backlog. But I still maintain that I like traveling with the 3DS more than I like traveling with the Switch. I don't know. What do you think about that, Mark? I also think it also goes back to like, don't feel bad and force yourself to play a game that you're not having like a fun time playing, or that you're struggling with the controls or whatever, just because you like the idea of the game. That's why we don't play a bunch of Star Fox Zero, right? We like the idea of Star Fox, and I guess you and I did beat it.
We did, yeah.
But like, there's obviously a lot more to go back and play in that game, but there are just some like hurdles there where it's like, no, it's not worth it.
Yeah, my answer is less like philosophical and more just the practical realities of, I feel like I look at screens so close to my face way too much during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to play my Switch on the TV as much as possible, because I'm at least a few feet away from it at that point.
Right. You don't feel like the radiation is boring into your eye
right.
sockets. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I do play my Switch in handheld mode, but I prefer to play it on the TV as much as possible. And so it's really hard for me to pull out the 3DS nowadays, because it feels too much like I'm just staring at my phone.
Yeah, sure.
Which I feel like I do, like, so, or a computer screen or whatever at work, that I need that physical distance from a screen that I can't get with the 3DS.
Yeah. That is fair. But I mean, really don't force yourself to play a game, right?
Right.
And the way Nintendo works, like, these games will come back around someday. You may have to wait 25 years, but like, you'll see Samus Returns. It in itself is a remake, right? So like, we'll see all these games again at some point in the future.
But yeah, I do long for the days of Super Game Boy. Some sort of TV out on the 3DS or something like that.
That's
where
just
you
called
could
the Switch, though.
But it's not. Different games, right? You can't play Super Mario 3D Land on
that's true.
the Switch. And that's a game that I really liked but didn't play. I haven't played it all the way through because I just have a really tough time playing on the 3DS now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's a real bummer about the 3DS and the DS is that a lot of those games are not really going to make a successful like transfer over to newer hardware or onto TV stuff, because they demand that second screen, and a second screen that is a touch screen. That like, games are going to be locked there forever. forever.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because you're right. Everything will come back around again. It'll be interesting to see what kind of second life those 3DS and DS games have.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see it all again someday. The only stuff that doesn't come back is the Virtual Boy. That's it.
Right? Yeah. They're
Dustin,
very ashamed of it.
they're so ashamed. Dustin closes out by saying, "Wow, that got way longer than I was expecting. I hope you are both doing well. Thanks again for taking the time and energy to give us all such great content. Sincerely, Dustin." Dustin, you're welcome. All right, Mark. Let's close out this segment. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you had any thoughts about all of the things that we talked about here with Dustin's email, you can email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com.
And in general, we love getting people's letters.
Yes.
We love when you write to us. We love when you tweet at us. We love when you write reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And we always will respond back.
Yeah.
Unless you're mean.
Right. And also friend requests. Thank you for sending them to us on Switch. I've seen a couple pop up, and it is always delightful to see what other people are playing. And I am sorry for how much you see me playing Tetris 99 and Fire Emblem Three Houses, but mostly Tetris 99. You'll notice I've stopped listing it on the games I'm playing this week.
Yeah, it's just like it's just inherent in
like
our existence.
Oxygen, yes. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. If you like this episode, please share it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you share stuff. On Twitter, I am at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nincart Society.
And of course, now we begin our post-show ritual where we both put on red turtlenecks,
right,
and red pants, and the black curtain is drawn between us.
We are both secretly given pistols. And we walk opposite directions. You can check out our Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. I, of course, throw my pistol down in disgust because I do not like guns. I am hoping Mark does the same. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, and presumably for Dustin, too. This is Patrick Eller saying, thanks for listening.
Campfire.